and welcome. Thank you for taking the time to come and listen to me today. My name is Jodie Grant and I'm the Head of Learning Development at Bredon School in Gloucestershire. I started my journey at Bredon in 2014 as a specialist learning support teacher. Before this, I had been a class teacher in a large junior school in Tewkesbury. Shortly after joining Bredon, I embarked on my Level 5 SPLD training, which helped me refine my understanding of dyslexia and the impact that it can have on children's ability to learn. Becoming part of the Senko team 5 years ago, it further helped me understand the specific difficulties, but also the challenges that it presents for students and their families. I'm one of those people that really enjoys my job, and I'm so incredibly proud of what we do on a daily basis. My hope today is that you can walk away knowing a little bit more about us, understand why I'm so proud to be a member of staff at Bredon, and give you a flavour of some of the things that we're able to offer every single child, every single day. Bredon School is an independent mainstream day and boarding school specialising in dyslexia. Here's a short video just to tell you a little bit more.
Our extensive grounds offer a full range of traditional school sports, from rugby, football and cricket to netball, hockey and tennis. We also offer a variety of other on-site sports, such as archery, mountain biking, canoeing and climbing, as well as a fully comprehensive Duke of Edinburgh programme. Our grounds house our contemporary classrooms, where we offer a bespoke and diverse academic and vocational curriculum. This curriculum challenges, inspires and develops all of our pupils and enables them to choose qualifications and pathways that suit them as they progress through the school. Stable House is home to girls' boarding and sits within the heart of the school. We offer full and flexi boarding, and our boarders come from all around the world, as well as within the UK. The nurturing environments of both Stable House and Tyndale House, run by our dedicated boarding staff, ensure that this is home from home. Deep within our woods sit our outdoor learning programme that includes a forest school and dedicated bushcraft area, where children hone their skills in the great outdoors. Land-based studies and agriculture are also on offer here, and Bredon has a large flock of badger-faced Welsh mountain sheep. Our pigsties are home to our very own pull-quart large British white pigs. the Bredon School farm is also home to a herd of pedigree South Devon cattle. Our clay pigeon shooting facilities and top-class coaching have enabled national and international success, and we shoot competitively against other independent schools in a variety of local and national competitions. Our highly successful Cisco programme, thriving CCF contingent and uniform services offer, together with our business and enterprise programme, complete with farm shop, give all our pupils limitless opportunities to thrive. We want every Bredonian to discover who they are and grow in self-confidence. That's our way of life. That's Bredon.
Right now, the education system does not cater for the dyslexic learner. They're being failed in many mainstream settings. Dyslexic students are not being spotted, supported and empowered. I'm sure we're all aware of the statistics. Only 20% of dyslexic learners are being identified in school, meaning a massive 80% are left to cope, feeling that they don't fit in the classroom and are failing with their learning. It's undeniable that we need dyslexic thinkers for our future, but sadly, measuring intelligence and success using traditional and standardised testing is not always suitable. We end up filtering out the very minds that we so desperately need for our future. Bredon School believes that the foundations to any child being successful is self-belief and confidence. In order to be the best you can, you must first believe that this is possible. Without this mindset being firmly installed, then an individual will never be successful. A football team will not step onto the pitch thinking that they're going to fail. Sir Alan Sugar does not invest in a company that he thinks isn't going to be successful. And it's the same with learning. If a pupil steps into the classroom with the idea that they're not going to understand, then it's very unlikely that they will. Every student that walks through the gates at Bredon School has a story to tell. And unfortunately, it's rarely a positive one. Too often, I've heard of pupils sitting at the back of the classroom and being ignored, working outside of the classroom with a TA, and poor behaviour in a desperate attempt to avoid the situation where the work that they're being faced with, they're just not able to access. The results of this is that a student becomes disengaged, distanced from their peers, and often have an overwhelming sense of failure. The impact of this is a gap in their knowledge, and it increases their struggles of learning. Students with learning difficulties have a negative view of school, the purpose of it, and a deeply embedded distrust in the system and all those working there. The knock-on of this is simple. You cannot teach someone who does not feel safe, who is sad, or who is angry. The hope as a parent is that your child feels safe and is happy in school. But nobody can deny that the ultimate aim of education is to gain qualifications that will support the next stages of learning, to open up opportunities which will allow them to fulfill their potential and help them in gaining their aspirations. It's our job as educators to do all of these things, and in my opinion, this is absolutely a reasonable request. As a school, it's very easy to get caught up in exam results, inspections, and the day-to-day procedures. But these children need to be heard. By looking and listening to an individual in the classroom, we're able to find the strengths in all. And these are very likely to be the talents that will lead to their futures. To illustrate this reality, I want to provide a couple of real-life examples that I have experienced in my time at Bredon. I could stand up here for this entire slot and share stories about students that I've worked with during my time at Bredon. One young lady arrived at the open day with her mother. She was so incredibly timid and quiet that I was unable to engage her in conversation. That's normally something I can do quite well. When questions were asked, she would look at her mum for the answer. Emily had friends in school. She enjoyed the social aspect, but they had been told that when it came to her GCSEs, she wouldn't be achieving them. We spoke about the support that we're able to provide, the pathways of study, and the opportunities available. At that point, we didn't discuss barriers to her learning and the struggles that she faced in her current school. We talked about the future. The second student that I always come back to is a young man called Jack. He was the sibling of twins who already attended Bredon. During conversations with his mother, she explained that he had been very ill and was currently being educated by the hospital system. When talking to Jack further on in his journey, he explained to me that he had gone to bed on the night of his 13th birthday, knowing if he was unwell in the morning, he wouldn't have to go to school. He explained that he hated school because he didn't feel that he could do it. He just didn't fit. Doctors described his illness as him mentally committing suicide. Jack needed to walk, talk, feed himself, and many other basic skills before he would even consider building up a trust in the education system again. I know these are extreme cases, and thankfully not all of our students have suffered so significantly. But they are true stories from families no different to my own. It terrifies me to think that young children are so massively affected by an education system that's not right for them. This is not an opportunity to slate the public sector and the teachers that are working tirelessly to educate. They're under-resourced and overstretched. I know and understand the struggles. I was one of those teachers for almost a decade. Each year, I would have a brand new cohort of children with a massive range of strengths and needs. My aim was to move them on, ensure each and every one of them made the predicted jump in progress, whilst also developing well-being, ensuring they felt safe, and hoping there was some element of enjoyment in what they were doing. My maths class often had somewhere in the region of 38 students. I applaud the work that's being done, and this education does work. It worked for me. It's working for my children and many, many others in education. But it doesn't work for all, and we need to recognise that. I often say there's a reason why teaching will never be replaced by machines and robots. It simply can't work that way. Each and every child that goes to school is an individual. They have individual thoughts and feelings, strengths and struggles. The education system at the moment is not designed to adapt and cater for all of these needs on a daily basis. For some students, it simply doesn't work. My colleagues and I at Bredon are in a privileged position to work in a setting where some of the pressures are removed and we're able to refine our attentions. We help the individuals make progress and reach their full potential. So what do? How do we support our students and make them believe that education can work for them? First of all, as teachers, we need to look inward. Allow me to illustrate. My first day at Bredon School, I sat with a student with the intention of getting to know him. I found out from this pupil that he could speak 3 languages. He played 4 or 5 musical instruments and could name any part that you pointed at on an aircraft and tell me what it did. And then I asked him to write me a sentence. To be honest, I thought he was taking the mick. The handwriting was inconsistent, spelling unrecognisable, and the grammar non-existent. From a teacher who had spent the first 10 years of her career working to levels and pushing for uniformity, it was my worst nightmare. That first day at Bredon, it hit me like a ton of bricks, the struggles that these children face. But on a more detrimental and personal level, my naivety. Of course, there had been children in my previous classes that found it difficult, but so overwhelmed by the need to show progress, I was guilty of being one of those teachers who didn't spend the time finding the missing piece. Instead, I would plan interventions which removed these children from their peers to learn at a completely different level and follow a whole different scheme of work. I did not have the time or the understanding of how to make it work for them within the classroom setting. The takeaway point here is that as teachers, there needs to be a shift in not only the approach we use, but also our underlying mindset. Here are the 4 key areas that really help us at Bredon School. Acknowledgement. We do not have a magic wand. We're not able to take the difficulties away. They're always going to be there. Dyslexia is a lifelong condition, and it does make learning harder. It's important that students with SPLD understand this. I have read numerous books and articles that refer to dyslexia as a superpower, and it is. It's the invisible thread that runs through an individual and makes them different, more creative, thinking outside of the box. But the fact of the matter is that they will need to work harder. They're always going to struggle with their learning. Their reading, spelling, and organisational skills are never going to be perfect. And most days, it won't feel like a superpower. It will feel like hard work. It's important that a student can understand this, but not use it as an excuse. Take the time to say to a young person, I know, I get it, and I'm going to support you. Showing empathy and acknowledging the fact that simply writing a sentence can take a huge amount of effort helps a student feel understood. Picking up a pupil on every incorrect spelling or wrong use of grammar is tiring and not useful. Showing empathy goes a long way. Delivery. Get it right every time. I read hundreds of professional reports, and every recommendation is a valued piece of advice, but not always doable. Teachers at Bredon work hard to understand the individual needs of the students. They know what does and doesn't work for their classes, and wherever possible, the right support is put in place. This doesn't happen straight away, but we encourage all of our students to tell their teachers what they think works for them. Every teacher wants a student to succeed. There's nothing more satisfying than that eureka moment. We share ideas, things that work, things that don't work. We're not asking for students to adapt to our way of teaching. We adapt to their way of learning. We strive to keep our classroom environments calm, instilling an optimum setting for learning. Assistive technology is key in supporting students with their independent work. Reading pens, speech-to-text and readback tools can be found in all classrooms. Overlearning is a vital component to our students. Information delivered in small chunks, and students are encouraged to use pictures, diagrams, mind mapping and vocabulary banks throughout a topic in order to retain that information. Every single lesson starts with a recap, going back and revisiting the last lesson, the lesson before that, and this time it might just click. Ethos. Dyslexia is largely understood to be a learning difficulty or disability. So unsurprisingly, many try to hide it and are embarrassed by it. We embrace each other's differences. SEN at Bredon is not that cringy label that all pupils are attempting to ignore. Additional support is not delivered in the corner of a library or in the special room. Our pupils do not try to slide in unnoticed and get their lessons out of the way. My team is the biggest in the school, and we are well and truly part of Bredon life. Never have I had to encourage a student to attend SLS lessons, and more often than not, I apologise for not being able to squeeze in some more for them. Students recognise the value of our support. They're able to see the benefits. The range of opportunities available creates a buzz of curiosity and motivation across all subjects. Our students want to learn and do not use their difficulties as a reason not to embrace education. Expertise. Bredon is a crested approved school. We welcomed their team in February of this year and worked together to ensure the practices that we are using on a daily basis are purposeful. We do not claim to be the masters of it all, but I am proud of our pockets of expertise that are utilised by all. We have 2 speech and language therapists and an occupational therapist in school every week. They provide direct therapy for students and are on hand to provide advice and support where needed. Not only are our students individual, but so are their SEN. If a tried and tested strategy doesn't work, then we head back to the drawing board and we try again. There is no room for arrogance in teaching. Just as students need support to get it right, so do we. We look at the child as a whole. We get to know them, understand them, what makes them tick, find out what their dreams are and what their passions are, what their strengths and talents are, where their happy place is. We have a 6th form student who is the most amazingly talented paper folder and has mastered the art of origami far beyond napkin folding. We have a young lady that would put to shame most of us when using a sewing machine. Quirky? Yes. Help them pass their GCSE English? Probably not. But this is where we start. This is the point that we're able to open up conversations and make them see their potential and their worth. We don't need to talk about the things that they find difficult and the things that they can't do. They already know all of this. Success breeds confidence, and this is where we start. We want our students to realise that they're able to do something well and better than others. Often, their entire school career has left them in last place. Everyone around them getting it and moving on, whilst they're left behind. And that's tough. We make sure our students have the resilience to keep moving forward, to keep getting up when they are knocked down, because this is the first steps to changing their mindsets. Working on confidence, building up an individual so that they start to see the positives. This means that you are working with a pupil that's willing to give it a go, challenge themselves, take risks, make mistakes, and most importantly, move forwards. Not worrying about what has been, but what could be. Having the opportunity to thrive in school, no matter what the activity. It could be scaling the climbing wall, or out on the sports pitch, or even mucking out the pigs. It gives our students a taste of success and a feeling of hope. This does not happen overnight, and nor would we claim it to, but it does happen. I've seen it. Look beyond the difficulties and the barriers and concentrate on the positives and the value. The rest will come. You have to look at the whole environment, not just the wilted flower, but the soil, the weather, and the nutrients. One of my favourite, and I feel the most powerful taglines used at Bredon is "The journey is as important as the destination." I love this way of thinking, and personally I think it needs to be encompassed by a much wider audience than just one of education. Everyday life these days is such a rush. I'm guilty of it myself, ploughing through life, moving from one thing to the next without taking the time to see what's going on around me. On a Friday evening, I'm planning what's for dinner the following Thursday, rather than just waiting to see what we fancy that night. This is so true of education. Teachers, head teachers, and governors are all working towards that end goal, the exam results, the league tables, when actually, take the time to think about the parts that you remember from school. I remember the DT lesson where I made a go-kart, the school plays, and getting the huge parachute out in my PE lessons. I remember and still have the friendships that I made when I was at school. And this is an area where Bredon thrives. We have a working farm, and it's not unusual to watch the students chasing escaped piglets through the school or walking Shetland ponies on leads. We have an outdoor swimming pool. We have access to the River Severn that runs through the school's extensive grounds. Pupils are able to carry down the kayaks during an outdoor ed lesson and learn to kayak on the river. Our sports department recently boasted that 70% of girls in the school had represented us in a team. These are the things that students remember. These are the conversation starters with grandparents and aunties and uncles when they ask the dreaded question, "How's school?" These are the activities that make school fun, a happy place, and somewhere they want to be. Of course, the learning is important, really important. We're educating students and want them to be successful with their learning, allowing the all-important doors that are opened with qualifications to be opened. We're not naive to the fact that passes are required and pathways need to be carved out. The Bredon School team is special. Senior management all the way through to the catering team and everyone in between has the desire for students to succeed. We all look at the individual, not the differences. We celebrate success, push the talents, and do not get hung up on the hardships. I'm confident that you could ask any Bredon School pupil and they would be able to name at least 2 members of staff that they could turn to if needed. This provides safety, a comfort that many of our students have never found before in school. Smaller classes means that we're able to take the time to know, really know our pupils, what makes them tick and what makes them happy. I know more about Maine Coon cats than your average because one of my students took the time to tell me about their pets. I then built this knowledge into my teaching, and just like that, a relationship was formed. She felt listened to and valued. We have the time to truly get to know our students and build this into our delivery. This is a feeling that drives through our school. Arrogance is left at the door. No one claims to know it all. We talk, we ask, we share. The pockets of expertise that we have available, and all use them. Speech and language therapists are seen having lunch with the school receptionist. OT sharing a coffee with the exams officer. No one knows it all, and we work together, pool our knowledge of the students and knowledge of the strategies. I followed a traditional pathway. I went to school and I completed my GCSEs. I stayed on at that school and completed my A-levels, and then I went to university to gain my teaching qualification. My CV is structured, filled with the qualifications that I needed, following the path expected. It's standard. It's boring. I look at the CVs of the students that I work with now, and they're exciting and unique, filled with experiences that I was unaware even existed at the age of 17 or 18 years old. Put my CV next to that of a Bredon School student, and I know who I'd want to be sat opposite listening to. At Bredon, this is something that we're always thinking about, and very often, without even realising it, we're adding to an individual's experience. We start the Duke of Edinburgh qualification in the junior school, and around 50% of our sixth form follow that course through and gain the Gold Award before they leave. We have a thriving combined cadets force. The vision of our CCF at Bredon School is one of support, development and empowerment. Our aim is to inspire young people to achieve success in life, for them to leave Bredon with the qualities and transferable skills to enable them to be a good citizen. We're able to achieve this through offering all of our students enriched opportunities. At Bredon School, education is not limited to the classroom. Many departments, including farm, outdoor ed, education, sport and CCF, have an enriched curriculum because we believe our students better connect with theories and knowledge that they learn outside of the classroom. We have the opportunity for our sixth form students to embark on a long-term work experience, getting them out into the working environment weekly. This allows them to build a rapport and develop working relationships. They're not just the work experience kid that you get to sort the stationery cupboard for a week in the summer. They become a valued part of that team. My favourite success story from this programme involves a young lady who had gained a placement at a farm near our school. The farm had a number of different departments: pick your own fruit, a small hold, a cafe and a farm shop with its own butchers. The young lady was given the opportunity to work in each of these areas, developing a range of skills which would benefit her. This young lady found a passion and talent in butchery and went on to apply and gain an apprenticeship in this area. Butchery was not on her radar, not even a career she knew existed, but through her work experience, she was exposed to it and opened to a whole new pathway. They say the dyslexic mind thinks differently. They have the minds and the skills that our future needs. Through acknowledgement, delivery, ethos and expertise, we can get education right and be able to support those who have not yet found their place. So what can you do at home right now if your child has dyslexia? How can you make it easier for them? At home, read with your child as much as possible. Give them the opportunities to explore literacy, tapping into their passions and interests, helping them realise that reading doesn't have to be a chore. Share the reading, take turns, model reading at a suitable pace with expression. Show them what you would do if you're faced with a word that you don't recognise straight away. Audiobooks are a brilliant way of enriching a children's vocabulary by removing the pressures of having to read themselves, but also giving the independence of being able to do it alone. Embrace technology. There are some fantastic learning resources, but make them fun at home, not more hard work. Programs like Nessie and Roll Armour are a great way of developing these skills, often without even noticing. Many of the resources don't reward accuracy, but commitment and practice. Overlearning is vital. Assistive technology is the future, and very often the students in my school are showing me what to do without that need for intense training. Many of the word processing packages will now have voice-to-text tools built in without an additional charge, and they are good. These and readback tools are becoming more advanced every day, and if young people can build their confidence in using them, they will simply become their normal way of working. Families and friends can show that they understand and appreciate that they're trying hard all the time. That empathy that we've talked about, taking the time to embrace and celebrate their strengths, allows them to gain resilience when faced with the challenges of life. Talk to the Senko at your child's school. You are the experts of your child. We as Senkos can use that information that you give us and find the tools to make it work. I know that it can be incredibly frustrating when it isn't right or it's not working, but please remember, everyone is trying to end up at the same goal. Keep the lines of communication open and honest. All we want is for every single child to succeed. And going back to my 2 case studies mentioned at the start, what of Jack and Emily? Jack joined Year 10. He followed a phased return and was attending full-time 9 months after he joined us, successfully sitting his GCSEs in the summer of 2018 and remaining at Bredon for his A-levels. As part of his support package, he had speech and language therapy, helping him understand the complexities of teenage life, and SLS lessons to provide additional time and support with his work, addressing the gaps in his learning and revisiting tricky topics that just wouldn't stick the first time. He's currently in his 3rd year at university, studying film studies, living independently and loving life. He's also assured me that he's cut his hair. He's gone through that long hair stage. Emily is our current head girl. She's a role model in the boarding house and always has a caring ear for the younger students. She gained a full set of GCSEs and is now studying her A-levels. In September, she joins the Norland Nannies College, a dream that she dared to admit with us in her first few weeks at Bredon. I'm sure there's not going to be a dry eye in the house when she stands up to give her speech on Founders Day. And as I said, this is just 2 stories that I could tell you from lots more. Bredon School pupils are incredible, inspirational and unique. A true honour to work with. Thank you.